Hello guys, this is Transformers Reviews, and today we're going to be taking a look at Titan's Return Blaster. And he comes with this little Headmaster guy here. And his Headmaster is called Twincast, and if you can see, he's just really closely modeled on Blaster. You can especially tell even by the speakers down here on the feet. But anyway, this is kind of something new for Blaster, as he never originally had a base mode. But this base mode does offer, just even on a basic aesthetic level, it looks very cool. But it actually has a little bit of functionality in it. Now, one of the things that this base mode offers, like a lot of other ones, is it offers a couple different places to where you can put additional armaments. So if we take like this piece from Alpha Trion, just plug it in there. Or we can take, just for instance, let's go ahead and take Blaster, or not Blaster, let's go ahead and take Bronze Weapon. We'll just go ahead and plug it in over here. And you got those. Now, what's funny about this is there's an additional place right here on what is the tape deck. And they show in the instructions that that's where the gun is supposed to be plugged in. Now, I guess you could try plugging in something right in there, but I think it would probably have to have a long handle, kind of like Blaster's actual weapon. Now up here you're going to see there's also another additional 5mm peg hole, so you could take any weapons, you can even take blasters if you wanted to. Now you could probably plug in two right there, or if you wanted to do this, you could actually go ahead and just plug in, like for instance Twincast. So you know, you could have him up here look like he's manning these top guns, or like I said, probably if you had weapons like Bronze and this other one that are down here on the front, if you wanted to plug those type weapons in up here, you probably could get both of them if you didn't have the Titan Master sitting right here. I don't think there's enough room altogether for all of those. Now, one of the things that's also mentioned in the instructions, coming back down here to the tape deck, is it shows that a Titan Master is supposed to be able to sit in there. But every time I've put Twincast in there, it takes a little bit of finagling to get it to work, and even then he still is not completely secured in there. He'll rock around and stuff. So I don't generally try to sit him in there. I generally try to put him more up here in this position. Now, one of the other parts of this base mode is there's a couple different places you can stand Titan figures. Now up here, this is not, in this little section, this is not a designated place for a Titan Master to sit. It looks like it would be, but up here you'll see these two little pegs that match the Titan Master's little plug-in deals. You could go ahead and just, but you can see that he can actually stand up here on top of the cannon. If you wanted to, you could have another one standing over here. Now, one of the additional places you can actually stand Titan's figure, and I don't know why they have it right here, but you can see there's another two pegs, so if you wanted to stand one here, you could as well, which means they would just be kind of, in base mode, they would just be kind of standing here for whatever reason. So overall, in base mode, I mean, there's lots of great functionality, lots of versatility. You can really decide what you want to do with it. And there, I mean, just the overall aesthetic detail, I love it. I love the colors that are used. I mean, it's just, it matches Blaster to a T. I mean, even the little bit of details like that danger sign, you know, and these kind of look like generators, or they kind of look like helipads, you know. And as a figure overall, even though he's a leader class, especially in base mode, he does compare well with like deluxe figures, you know, and not that Blur can necessarily drive up on this ramp or anything, but, you know, I mean, shoot, as a base, and compared to Blur's vehicle mode, just as an example, fits in perfectly. So, anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at Blaster in his boombox mode. And here we are, harkening back to the days of the 1980s with the boombox. Speaking of that, Blaster, cue some music real quick. Okay, enough. Anyway, moving on. I mean, true enough, here's his original mode, boombox, and I mean, you know, is just I like it. I'm not gonna beat around the bush. I like it. It looks cool. And you know what? I mean, here's just to kind of give you an idea of how big he is in this mode. here he is with again, blur. So that should give you an idea. Deluxe class, leader class. So he condenses down quite a bit in boombox mode. Probably between robot and bass and boombox, this is the most condensed of all three. Now, you're probably wondering, what about storage for stuff? Well, if you notice, this was the piece that was plugged in up here in bass mode. And before I move on, I think the only reason this piece, the only part of it that really reminds me of an MP3 player is this like play and pause button. But I mean, other than that, it doesn't look like really anything else. So you're probably thinking, well, what about, where does this go? I mean, it's just kind of odd eyesore if it was sticking out somewhere, right? Well, actually, you can, if you don't have any of the tapes, you can actually, for storage, put this in place of them. Boom, folds up, fabulous. That's actually mentioned in the instructions. They say to store it there. Well, what about Blaster's weapon? Well, if you'll notice, there's a 5mm peg hole there. So you just go ahead and plug that puppy right in. It sits back there, and whenever you display it like this, you never even know it was there. But what if you do have some of the tapes? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at that. I personally do not have any of Blaster's tapes. I do have the Decepticon. They're actually not cassettes anymore. They're actually what they call spy tablets or whatever. But and I'm not planning on getting Soundwave because he's just basically a recolor and slight remolded Blaster. But whether you have the Decepticon or the Autobot tablet / tapes, they will work with either Blaster or Soundwave. So we just go ahead and put this guy in there. Boom. Folds up. He goes in there. Stays in there. Awesome. So, I mean, there's not really much more I can tell you about tablet mode. It is late, guys. Forgive me. That's why I'm messing up so terribly. But you know what? And I just love this mode. It's cool. And like I said, it harkens back to his original G1 days. So, alright, well, let's go ahead and finish this thing up by taking a look at his robot form. Alright, and here is Blaster without a head. Now, I do want to go ahead and point out, here is his normal head. And he, like Optimus, will have a helmet that comes over and helps give him more of his G1 head look. But before we put him on there, I did want to go ahead and mention ones like Brawn here. You know, they actually don't look bad on Blaster. So if I go ahead and put Brawn on there, true, he is kind of a pinhead. So you bring up the mask, boom. At that point, it doesn't really matter who you have. You can still kind of see a vaguely Brawn head, but it does kind of look a little goofy. So let's go ahead and put the man or the bot on there that does belong. Alright, now you've got the actual bot. Now, at this angle, it actually looks like... Is that just me? Or is it just the angle of the camera? Because where I'm looking at, I can see his eyes through the visor, but on the camera, it doesn't look so much like it. Let's see if we can take a look there. Okay, yeah, it was just the funky angle that the camera's sitting at, because you can kind of see his eyes now. But overall, I love his look. It's pretty cool. It's just, I mean, what can I say? I mean, so even if you still have his Blaster tucked in, haha, pun, I didn't even mean to make that. You can go ahead and plug in his gun here, or you can use any other, you know, guns that you can find with little Headmasters in it, like that one, or whatever. But in robot mode, he has a ton of posability. Now again, he has the zero plane vision, which basically means that the head can't look up or anything else just because of the Headmaster system it's on. But he does have an excellent degree of posability. So, you know, it's not like he's just left in a lurch or that he's a big brick or whatever. You know, he can get into some cool poses. So, but aside from that, I mean, there's nothing really else. I mean, he's a really big guy, basically. So if we were to kind of compare him to, say, let's just out of curiosity. Oh, and before I forget, Due to some of the transformation, it does give him a little bit of ankle tilt on both feet. So if you wanted to have him kind of having a little bit of, you know, say like a wider stance, then his feet will adjust accordingly. So there he is like that with a little bit wider stance. And as means of comparison, let's just go ahead and take a guy off the G1 shelf as it seems appropriate, and boom. And Jetfire, or Skyfire, whatever you want to call him, he's a big figure in his own right, especially back in the day. But Blaster actually comes up, if you count the top of his, what is that, antennas? Is it? I don't know. Anyway, this top piece right here, it actually comes right about the top of Jetfire's visor. So Blaster is a pretty big figure. But if you wanted to look at a more modern day example, let's just go ahead and put him with Voyager Alpha Trion. There you have that. Or say what, let's go ahead and look at a deluxe. And here is Blur. So yeah, and so here he is. He doesn't even get to the top of his waist armor around here. So, I mean, here, this should kind of give you a decent idea of how he scales with other figures. I mean, true, you can't count Jetfire, but, you know, at least a couple other figures from the Titans line. So, but overall, I think as a figure, Blaster is probably, I mean, he's executed well in I mean, all that he does. I mean, he's just, like I said, he's a big figure, but he's not just a brick. So, and I mean, his functionality in all three of his modes, I mean, he's just awesome. So, overall, I mean, I'd give this a really high rating. And for, you know, a couple additional features, if you guys want to, I would suggest watching Pia's video. He goes into some things that I did not. And overall, I mean, if you're going to go between, say, Blaster and Prime, well, I mean, it depends, you know, which one you want more. Feel free to check out my Optimus Prime video also. And anyway, guys, this has been a review for Titans Return Blaster. And we hope to see you guys in another review.